Springtrap, a name that sends shivers down the spine of anyone who dares to speak it aloud.
A name whispered in hushed tones, a legend that has grown in the dark corners of our minds, a creature of decay and vengeance born from the twisted remnants of a once living being. He was once William Afton, a man driven by a lust for power and a fascination with death. His dark desires led him down a path of no return. Now, trapped within the rusted shell of Spring Bonnie, he seeks only to escape his torment. His existence is a never-ending nightmare, a prison of his own making.
Nightmare Fredbear, a name that evokes pure terror.
A monstrous apparition, a being that transcends the boundaries of reality and nightmare. He haunted the dreams of a young boy, turning his nights into a realm of fear and dread, a manifestation of his deepest fears, a creature born from the darkest corners of his mind. A hulking behemoth, he represents the crushing weight of guilt and terror. His presence is a constant reminder of the boy's inner turmoil. Their paths were destined to collide. Two forces of darkness drawn together by fate. Two nightmares given form, locked in an eternal struggle. Their battle is a clash of titans, a war of shadows and fear. Only one could emerge from the shadows victorious. The outcome of their battle would shape the very fabric of fear itself, leaving an indelible mark on the world of nightmares. The abandoned factory stood silent, a monument to forgotten dreams and forsaken ambitions. Its walls, once bustling with the hum of machinery and the chatter of workers, now echoed with a haunting emptiness. A testament to Afton's hubris, the factory's broken machinery and rusted equipment told a story of neglect and downfall. Each piece of derelict industrial pipe whispered tales of a time when the factory was alive, thriving, and full of promise. The air hung heavy with the stench of decay, a pungent reminder of the passage of time and the relentless march of entropy. Mold crept along the decaying walls, and the musty interior spoke of years of abandonment. Shadows danced across the grimy walls, hiding secrets best left undisturbed. This was their battleground, a place where light and darkness waged an eternal war. The flickering lights cast eerie shapes, creating an atmosphere thick with suspense and foreboding. A place where hope came to die, the factory stood as a grim reminder of dreams turned to dust. Its desolate, run-down spaces were a testament to the relentless passage of time and the inevitability of decay. The silence was broken only by the drip of water and the scuttling of rats. Each drop echoed like a mournful tear, and the rats, the only inhabitants of this forsaken place, moved with a sense of urgency as if aware of the factory's dark history. The stage was set for a confrontation of epic proportions. The empty, ominous factory floor seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the inevitable clash. Shadows loomed large, and the air was thick with tension. A battle between two titans of terror was about to unfold. The factory, with its eerie, shadowy spaces, was the perfect setting for this dramatic showdown. The very walls seemed to pulse with anticipation, as if aware of the impending conflict. The very air crackled with anticipation. Every flicker of light, every shadow that moved added to the suspense. It was a place where the past and present collided, where the echoes of old battles mingled with the promise of new ones. The factory, in its grim embrace, awaited the next chapter in its dark saga. Springtrap lunged, his metal claws scraped against the concrete floor.
Nightmare Fredbear swatted him aside.
Afton roared in defiance. He would not be denied.
Fredbear towered over Springtrap. His size was an advantage, but Springtrap was nimble, fueled by desperation. He darted around Fredbear, searching for an opening. The factory echoed with the sounds of their struggle. Metal shrieked against metal, the stench of decay intensified. This was a battle to the death. Fredbear roared again, a sound that shook the very foundation of the factory. He charged, scattering debris in his wake. Springtrap barely dodged out of the way. He struck back, his claws finding purchase on Fredbear's arm. A shower of sparks erupted, but the damage was minimal. Fredbear was relentless. The battle raged on, a macabre dance of death. Each strike fueled by hatred and desperation. There would be no mercy, no surrender.
I'm tiring. My movement, they're slowing down. Every punch feels heavier, every step more labored. I can feel my energy draining, my body betraying me. The relentless assault is taking its toll.
Fredbear pressed his advantage, sensing the weakness in his opponent. He moved with a predatory grace, each strike more calculated and brutal than the last. His attacks becoming more ferocious, a whirlwind of fists and fury. The room echoed with the sounds of their struggle, a symphony of violence.
This ends now, Springtrap. The words were filled with rage and determination, a vow to end the conflict once and for all.
He slammed Springtrap against a wall, the force of the impact reverberating through the building. Dust and debris rained down, a testament to the sheer power of the blow. The impact shaking the building, causing items to fall off shelves and the very structure to groan under the strain.
Ugh! Afton coughed, the taste of rust and blood filling his mouth. He was trapped, his back against the wall, his vision blurring. The pain was excruciating, but he couldn't give up. There was nowhere to run. The corridor was dark and narrow, a dead end. He could feel the walls closing in, the weight of his predicament pressing down on him. He had to end this. With a surge of determination, he steeled himself for one final move. His mind raced, calculating his next steps, knowing that this was his last chance.
He gathered the last of his strength. Every muscle in his body screamed in protest, but he pushed through the pain. He had one chance, one desperate gamble. The room seemed to close in around him, the dim light casting long shadows. He had to make it count, his fists clenched, his resolve hardening. This was it, the final moment. Everything he had endured, every ounce of pain and suffering, had led to this. He couldn't afford to fail.
As Fredbear opened his jaws to deliver the final blow, Springtrap saw his opportunity. A small exposed wire near Fredbear's neck, a vulnerable point.
With a surge of adrenaline, Springtrap lunged forward. He ignored the pain searing through his body. He had to reach that wire.
His claws closed around the wire. He pulled with all his might.
A shower of sparks erupted, followed by a deafening roar. Fredbear stumbled back, his body convulsing. The factory plunged into darkness. Silence descended, broken only by the sound of Springtrap's ragged breathing.
He had done it. He had defeated Nightmare Fredbear, but at what cost?
He was trapped in this decaying body. His torment continued, and he knew deep down that this was far from over. As the dust settled, a faint sound echoed through the factory. A low, guttural growl. Fredbear wasn't gone. He was changing. The shadows themselves seemed to twist and writhe.
Fear coiled around Springtrap's heart. He had unleashed something far worse.
His victory was hollow. He had won this battle, but the war was far from over. He was trapped in an endless cycle of horror. The shadows coalesced, taking on a new form, more monstrous, more terrifying. Nightmare Fredbear was gone, replaced by something even more sinister.
Springtrap could only watch in horror. He had doomed them all.
The factory was silent once more. The battle was over, but the nightmare had only just begun.